Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a first impression follow-up video. I've been doing a ton of first impressions, just trying new makeup, and today I'm going to give you some updates on some products that I've used recently. I'm going to keep doing these videos because I love doing first impressions. I love trying them out so you guys can see how they blend, how they swatch, just my initial reaction. But I do use these products a lot off camera to give you a full review within I would say a month to 6 weeks. So I have a ton of products. I'm going to move quickly. I like to kind of breeze through this. I'm going to give you the short answer of if I recommend a product or not. So if you want to know some updates on some products that I've tried in my first impression videos recently, then let's go ahead and get started. First up, I want to talk about the Henderson Banana Bright Face Primer. Now I heard a ton of hype on this because there was a lot of sponsorships pushed out by big gurus. You saw Desi Perkins, I Love Sarah E, tons of people using this and they look so beautiful. I have to say they have beautiful skin, so that definitely helps. This is a makeup primer. I think it has vitamin C and banana powder pigments is what it says. This is a very dewy primer. One thing I want to note though is if you are oily, this is a little bit heavy. I notice that when I wear this, I do get a nice, really hydrated, dewy look under my foundation, but after I would say the 7 or 8 hour mark, it can get a little bit cakey, just heavy around the pore area. So if you have pores, be mindful of that, or if you're oily. So for me, this is something that I would use on my forehead that tends to be dry. I'm actually peeling right now because I got a little bit of a sunburn. It does have a little bit of an illumination to it, it actually has kind of glimmery particles in there. I wouldn't say glitter, but it definitely has more of that sheen to it. It's not one of those liquid glass products. It's really just a moisturizer with kind of pigment mixed in. So I feel like if you are dry, you will want to bathe in this and it's really nice, but if you're kind of combo or oily, you might find it a little too heavy. So overall, I like it. It's not blowing my mind. I prefer other ones over it, but I do keep it top drawer and I do use it occasionally. A very similar product in the way that it feels and performs is the Tatcha The Dewy Skin Cream. Now people go crazy over Tatcha. I'm kind of in the middle. I like some of their products. Some of them have been a miss for me. This is a very hydrating, thick, dewy moisturizer. So I can use this again, but I do notice the same thing that I just mentioned with the Henderson, a little bit of caking and an oiliness in the center of my face. Now I am combo, so I tend to get oily right in the center of my face. Again, I would keep this on the perimeter of my face. This is very hydrating and very dewy. When you first use it, it feels really nice and it feels kind of dewy, but then it kind of sets down with your foundation if you use powder just like I do. But I notice as the day goes on, this definitely gives me that kind of oily dew look. If you're dry, I think you will really enjoy this. If you're combo, just be mindful that it is a very dewy. I don't know how else to say it. I feel like I'm saying dewy a million times, but it is. It has no shimmer in it. It's not like the Henderson. It doesn't have any actual pigment in it. It is just a really slick emollient moisturizer. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels really nice and slick on the skin, but I just noticed throughout the day that it's definitely going to give you that kind of oily appearance. So if you're into that, I think you would really enjoy it. I know it's expensive. Can I live without it? Yes, I like it. I use it sometimes, but it's not, again, oh my gosh, you need to run out and get it. Unless you're really dry and you feel like nothing can give you hydration, you might want to try this. Another primer that I used recently is the Do You Fresh Glow Luminous Face Primer from Too Faced. I can't find the cap to this. That's the story of my life. But this is an alternative if you want to try the Banana Bright powder, or not powder, primer, but you feel ooh, that sounds a little heavy for me. This will give you kind of a luminous priming effect, but it's thinner. So if you have combo skin, oily skin, or you don't want that kind of gunking around your pore area, definitely gives you a little bit of a glow, but it's just thinner in texture. The other ones are very emollient, thick, deep moisturizers. Think a night cream. This is more like a serum. It's just more thin, so it lays better under makeup if you are combo or oily and you just want a little bit of a, illumination. This would be a nice lightweight option. Next, I want to touch on the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I've touched on this a few times before. I'm going to move quite quickly. I think it's okay, but I'm not blown away like a lot of other people. I tend to think that primers do help the longevity of your foundation, but for me, it's really about the foundation that I'm wearing. So if I want long wear, I'm going for my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define, or I'm going for my Estee Lauder Double Wear. There's a few others in there, but for me, the primer is not the main culprit in terms of how long my foundation lasts. This has denatured alcohol, I think, as a second ingredient. It just kind of weirds me out a little bit for a primer that I'm putting on my skin every day. I like the the way this feels. It has a little bit of a tack to it, but I feel like it almost reminds me of the Farsali Glass Skin, the way that it feels. That one has a tack to it as well and doesn't have denatured alcohol so high on the list. So I know a lot of people are loving this. For me, you know, I'm not crazy into ingredients. I'm trying to get a little bit more into them in terms of like harmful ingredients that really are gonna dry your skin out or make your skin worse. But for me, the benefits of this are not that great, just personally on my skin, that I would even wanna mess with it because of the alcohol. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. But I know a lot of people like it. I don't think it's bad by any means, but I wasn't blown away as everybody else. I think it's an okay product. Moving on to setting sprays, I have two to talk about. The first one is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Ultra Fine Mist. So there's a few pros and cons to this. This one is beautiful. It reminds me of the effect that you get from the Pixie Glow Mist, the one that has kind of the water and oil and you shake it up. This has a similar effect. It's really gonna meld your powders in. Not gonna give you that sticky kind of glycerin glow like the Iconic London or the Farsali. Those are a little bit more intense. This is kind of middle of the road. Think maybe MAC Fix Plus, but a little more hydrating. The mist is super fine, almost too fine that I feel like I literally have to be like right here and I'm like right in my face. Otherwise I can't feel it. So that is one thing you have to get like right up in your face. It smells great. It's not overpowering. The only thing I will say is this will go fast and it is pricey. Because the mist is so fine, I feel like I have to use like 10, 15 mists every time. And again, if you don't get close enough to your face, you know, you can do 10 mists and you're like, I don't even feel like I did anything. A setting spray that really surprised me is the Dewy Set from ABH. I am about halfway down. This has replaced my MAC Fix Plus. I use this to wet my shadows. I use this to spray on before powder foundation. This is a really nice setting spray that's, again, middle of the road. It's not gonna be a super, super intense, like, oh my gosh, like, again, the Iconic London is like insane glow. Same with the Farsali, like 4 sprays and you're just like dewy. This is kind of in the middle. You can kind of douse yourself, it melts your powders in, but it's not gonna make you oily. So I really like this. I like the scent on it. It's not overpowering. It's a nice kind of summer coconut scent, and I just find myself using it a lot. A lot of times I use this before I put on powder foundation. If you haven't seen me do that, I can link my video down below. Most days that I'm not filming, I'm wearing powder foundation. So I'll put on like a moisturizer, then I spritz this, and then I buff the powder into my skin. So that's what I use it most for, and that's why I'm about halfway done. But I think this is a great option. If you're new to setting sprays, you kind of don't know where to start. You don't want something that's gonna make you an oil slick, but you also don't want something that's gonna dry your skin out. This is a good middle of the road. I would highly recommend. Since we're on the subject of ABH, I have the 2 highlighters. These are her loose highlighters. I got Snowflake and So Hollywood. I don't like these. I'm just gonna be real. I bought these myself. I like loose highlighters. I love Artist Couture. Kylie has some bomb loose highlighters. So it's not the messiness, it's how chunky these are. They actually are like little crumbles and chunky in the component. I just am not a fan of that. When I pick it up on a brush, it's either flying everywhere or it's grabbing in certain areas. This is not finely milled enough for me. And the color's a little bit off because So Hollywood is a little bit deep for me. Snowflake is a little bit icy for me. I honestly just don't like these. I regret buying them. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter them, so keep an eye out for like my Poshmark or something, just because they're just not for me. I think they look okay, like they're pretty, but the annoyance of using them is not worth the payoff. And then I've seen a lot of people mix them, and to me, I'm just not gonna mix 2 loose highlighters. That's just too much work. I'm just really not into it, so I think these were a pass. I just think that they needed to be more finely milled, and I don't know. I'm usually like, any highlighter is good, but these just are annoying to use. So next I want to touch on a product that everybody was raving about. This is the Natasha Denona Bloom Blush and Glow palette. So I have used this quite a bit, and I am impressed with this. I think this is beautiful if you love blush. Like if you're a blush fiend and you love any kind of peachy glow or those really baby doll like bitten cheeks. I don't know if it's like bitten is the word, but you know what I mean, like those apple red cheeks. This blush is gorgeous. And then you have this kind of glow cream, which again is very natural. The only thing I will say is I don't really use this like shimmery gold peach shade as much. I do like the highlighter, but again, it's very peachy, so you have to kind of know that. Now I know she came out recently with a bronze one, so I don't think you need both. I feel like if you're a blush fiend and you really want that like really kind of burnt look, I feel like you would really enjoy this. It's like a burnt with like the gold peachy highlight. If you're more of a bronze, like you kind of want bronze and neutrals, I think you would probably like the other one. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm assuming it's the same formula. So I really do like this. The cream blush blends over powder or over, you know, a wet base, and I like that. If it's gonna disrupt my foundation, I can't mess with it, and this one blends beautifully, so I would recommend this as well. Another blush palette that was really hyped was the Jouer blush palette. This was sent to me in PR. And in here you get 6 shades. So what I can say about this is I like the formula. The colors are beautiful. I had no issues with it. For whatever reason, I don't reach for it. I don't know if it's just the shades. I tend to really enjoy bright blushes, like baby doll, hot pinks, hot reds, blushes that most people probably are like, oh, that's scary. That's usually what I enjoy. This is more for the everyday kind of person. I know a lot of people love blushes like this, and they might dabble into this. For me, it's just a little too muted, but I do like it. I would recommend it. If you think these colors are for you, I think you would enjoy it. I don't think anybody would get this and be like, wow, this sucks. Like, it has good pigment, it blends beautifully. I just don't find myself gravitating towards the color selection in here. But other than that, I think it's a nice product. It's just not my personal favorite. A product that I really, really love that I bought myself and then I actually got sent PR, so I have 2 of them, is the Dragon Beauty Transformation Face Powder. So these are just like brightening powders. You get a peachy one and you get a kind of banana colored one. And I really didn't know because I saw some people saying there was kind of like illuminating properties in here, and I thought, oh, that's gonna make my texture look bad. This is a dupe for the KKW brightening powders. It's very similar. You get 2 in here, and I think I actually prefer the tones on this because the KKW powder I have is more really like, I would say like a white, like a bright. These are a little bit more forgiving, so you get the banana or the peach. They both work beautifully. They remind me almost of my Scott Barnes Petal Powder that I love as well. So these would be products that I would keep in my purse. These would be kind of T-zone touch-up powders, also to bake under the eye and kind of slim my nose contour, stuff like that. I reach for this a lot. Doesn't accentuate my texture and it brightens up, but not in like a crazy ghostly way. So I would recommend this as well. I really like it. A palette that I first saw and thought like, oh, that's a snooze fest. I really didn't think anything of it, and then I tried it and was blown away, is this Summer Lights face palette from Nars. This is freaking gorgeous for a minimalistic everyday look. I love everything. Probably my least favorite thing is the highlight, just because it's a little bit dark, a little bit too kind of subdued for me, but the bronzer here I use to contour to bronze. I love these eyeshadows, specifically this one right here. I feel like you could use this on your eyes, on your face, really wherever. It's a beautiful minimalist palette where you could just kind of like throw it in your crease and go, and you just look like bronzed and put together. Absolutely blown away by this. I really am like shocked because I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, another boring palette. And then I tried it, and there's something about these shadows or these powders, they have a little bit, it's like a satin finish. There's a little bit of shimmer in there, but it's not too much. Like, you could put it in the crease, you don't have to worry about it. So I'm just really impressed with this. I know they have another colorway that's more, I think, like cool toned, like kind of maroonish burgundy shades, but this one, I don't know, it's just like perfect for summertime. 2 bronzers I wanted to update on were these Morphe Bronzers. I have the shade Megastar and then also the shade Icon. I like these. I'm not like dying over them. They definitely work like every other bronzer. For me, I would probably use these more on the body because they are bigger pan sizes. But Icon, again, this is a little weird. Icon is a little bit light. I know Jaclyn Hill was raving about it. Icon, I really have to build up, especially if I have a tan like I do now. And then Megastar's a little warm for me, a little bit orange, a little bit harsh. So it's almost like I have to mix the two. So these are not top drawer favorites. I like them and I will use them, but I would probably just use this more on my body, like on my chest, if I feel like, you know, my foundation's a little dark or whatever. But I do like them in terms of like matte bronzers. I think they're okay, but I'm not like losing my mind over them. A bronzer that I highly recommend is the Fenty Beauty bronzers. I have Island Ting and then I also have Private Island. I've been loving both of them. I think the formula is freaking stellar. It just builds up so beautifully. It doesn't grab. It's a nice matte formula. just stunning. I love these so much. I'm like, when I saw them come out, I thought like, oh, another bronzer or whatever. And then I tried it and I was like, yes, this is perfect for beginners. If you feel like a lot of bronzers kind of grab onto your texture and you want something that's going to give you that warmth without that kind of satin finish that grabs onto wrinkles and fine lines, I think you'd really enjoy this. So highly recommend. I'm happy with the 2 shades I got. I would go up a shade if you're going to get this, just because they're so forgiving. I feel like you can't kind of overdo it. Next up, I want to talk about these CoverFX monochromatic blush duos. When I got these in the mail, they hadn't been released yet or spoke about on Trend Mood, like she hadn't posted pictures, and I audibly gasped. Like, I thought these were so beautiful. Now, upon using them, the mattes are super pigmented. Like, you can go overboard, so you really got to be careful. The shimmers are beautiful, but I almost wish they would have done the matte and then they would have done like a corresponding highlight, because I just don't see that many people dipping into the shimmery side, just because you can't use it as a highlight. It's too dark. I wouldn't say for every skin tone, but I'm just saying if you're looking at these corresponding, it's just like, if you're going to use this as a bronzer, this would probably still be a little dark. Yeah, it's the corresponding shade. So you're really kind of meant to use the matte side and the shimmery side on your cheeks as blush or as bronzer. I can say that they are prettier in the pan than they are on my face, and I hate to say that. That's happened with other products where I want to love it. I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, I want to use it. And then when I put it on, something is missing. So I don't know what it is. These blend okay. They don't blend bad. They're pretty, but I just feel like I was so excited and I saw them and I thought, oh my gosh, look at all these colors. It's so beautiful. But I still keep reaching for my Buxom blushes, and I still keep reaching for my MAC blushes, and I still keep reaching for my new Sephora Duo Matte blushes. These are just not something that I'm loving on the skin. I feel like every time I put them on, I'm like, oh, that's pretty, and that's it. And I thought I was really going to be wowed. So I think they're okay. Again, I feel like I repeat myself a lot. They're just okay. They're not bad. I wouldn't say like stay away, but I also wouldn't tell you to go run out and pick them up, because they're just not wowing me. And then lastly, I have a couple products I want to mention that I actually decluttered. So I'm just going to throw a photo up on the screen. The first one being the Tarte Big Ego Mascara. I tried it on camera and I was not impressed. I tried it a few more times afterwards and I really feel like it did nothing for my lashes. Even mascaras that do a ton for my lashes are still very sad. So when something does nothing for them, I'm like, wow, like I can't even, like this is pointless. I shouldn't even waste my time. So unfortunately, I just don't think on the market now with all the great mascaras out there, that one really was just like, it did nothing for me. So I would not recommend that. And I also decluttered the Wet n Wild Stick Foundation. In my review or my first impression, I wore it and I thought, oh, okay, it looks nice. But after a few hours of wear, it broke up. So I tried it again and again and again. And it's one of those that looks good for an hour or two and then it looked really bad. I feel like that's kind of my experience with stick foundations. They're so creamy and emollient that they almost sit on top of the skin. They don't set down. So then they just kind of come off and break apart. So definitely would not recommend that for someone that wants long wearing. If you want something quick and affordable that you can wear for a couple hours, but if you're looking for longevity, I would not recommend it. And the last product I actually sent back to Sephora was the Giorgio Armani Neo Fusion or Neo Nude Fusion Powder number 7. I saw somebody recommend this as a bronzer, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try that out. And I literally had to pile on like 4 different like layers to get it to even show up, and it was still so subtle. I just didn't think it was that great for the price. This person had hit pan and really loved it and it looked beautiful on them, but for me, I'm not going to work that hard and put on 4 layers when I have other bronzers like the Fenty Beauty or, you know, even like the butter bronzers from Physicians Formula that I can kind of blend on and roll out the door. So I did return that. I just wouldn't recommend it for the high price tag. I also saw people saying they go through it quickly, but it really just was so, I don't know, subtle. I had to like just pack it on and I still was like, where is that payoff? So definitely not for me. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, guys, so does it for this first impression follow-up video. I have so many more of these coming. There's so many products, like I'm looking at it and there's like 50, 60, 70 products I need to get through. So I'm gonna try to roll through these quickly. Hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions down below, definitely comment. We can have a little chat. If you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe. I do first impressions and follow-ups and reviews and swatches and hauls and all that stuff. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.